So our next speaker this morning is Richard Rosenquist Brandell, and Richard is Professor of Clinical Genetics at the Karolinska Institute, and he's also a Senior Physician at the Karolinska University Hospital. He is also the Director of Genomic Medicine Sweden, and this morning he's going to talk about Genomic Medicine Sweden, building a national infrastructure based on regional infrastructure. So Richard, I will hand over to you now for your presentation.
Thank you very much for the introduction and for inviting me to present Genomic Medicine Sweden. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So I will spend the next couple of minutes describing how we form Genomic Medicine Sweden based on regional infrastructure, and actually, I mean, the actual precision medicine is taking place in the regional infrastructures. So in Sweden, we have national infrastructure for high throughput technologies called Science for Life Laboratory, SciLife Lab, and this was formed in 2010. And early on, we started to discuss with SciLife Lab, can we take advantage of the high throughput technologies into healthcare? And we formed first clinical genomic units in Stockholm and Uppsala in order to optimize and validate and adapt technologies for clinical diagnostics. And thanks to this effort, we started to form units at all 7 medical faculties in Sweden. And through this process, we were thinking, shouldn't we form a national initiative for regional implementation of precision medicine in Sweden? So thanks to this sort of technology-driven clinical genomics nodes, we started to form Genomic Medicine Sweden. So this is sort of a bottom-up initiative, which is clinically focused. So we have established 7 genomic medicine centers at the university hospital, and they are sort of linked to these clinical genomic units that are the technological basis where we use the high throughput instruments. We together are sort of forming national standards for data storage and handling, and also, of course, guidelines and the methods that we are using and the actual precision medicine. We are sort of preparing this in a harmonious way between the centers. We think this is a cost-effective way. The different genomic centers in Sweden, they have different profiles, and usually 1 or 2 centers lead the implementation, and then we sort of, if needed, we scale up to all 7 genomic medicine centers. And of course, I will come to this on my next slide. We will have a common IT infrastructure, and this is of course important for further innovation and research. So if you don't know, Sweden does not have national healthcare. We have regional healthcare, and actually we have 21 autonomous healthcare regions. So that is one of the reasons that we created this, in order to bridge the whole country and provide all citizens with equal access to precision medicine and precision health. So we have established a national genomic platform in the west part of the country, where we have linked the genomic medicine centers directly, and each genomic medicine center has a separate tenant within our national genomic platform, where they own their own data. And then a certain level of data is shared on a national level, and that is sort of our resource, for instance, with genomic variants, etc. And our ambition is that this will be used for real-time analysis and visualization, for healthcare, for research, and hopefully also in the future for sharing with the pharma and IT and the biotech industry. We are planning to link this to our Swedish national registers. So we think that this is a good way of linking the regional efforts to the national level. So as I said, we have a decentralized system in Sweden. So in order to steer a national project, we have the research directors of the university or the regions with university healthcare are members of the board, the deans of the medical faculties. We have 2 representatives from the 14 regions that do not have a university hospital, and each university hospital is responsible to linking the other regions to the genomic medicine centers. We also have representatives from industry and patients. And as I lead the genomic medicine management group, and that consists of the coordinators from the genomic medicine centers, plus you will see here the areas that we are focusing on. We have 3 cancer tracks: solid tumors, pediatric cancer, hematology, rare diseases, microbiology, pharmacogenomics, and complex diseases. And then we have a lot of dedicated work packages to solve how we build, how we sort of build a framework, a virtual framework on a national level to realize precision medicine at the regional level. So I just want to show you some cases. We established whole genome sequencing. First it was at Karolinska, but now there are 3 centers, and soon it will be 4 centers that do clinical whole genome sequencing. It's quite rapid. Currently we do around 3,000 whole genomes in clinical routine, but of course this will expand now when more studies are or more centers are included. And we just published the data on 3,000 investigations at Karolinska, and 40% of patients that were undiagnosed were diagnosed with whole genome sequencing, showing the power of this technology. For hematology, blood cancer, we have designed together national panels for that we cherry-pick the most important genes, and they are now the first panel for myeloid malignancies is offered at 5 sites in Sweden, where we use the same reagents, the same sort of interpretation, etc., and reporting. And we are now also following the same road as, or we are trying to follow the same road as for rare diseases, to implement whole genome sequencing and transcriptome sequencing. And this will be done at four sites in Sweden. For solid tumors, we have been quite rapid to implement smaller gene panels, and we have now agreed upon a 560 gene panel that we hope to be able to provide at all 7 sites in the fall. Of course, now I'm presently mostly precision diagnostics. We also think it's equally important with precision therapy, and we are closely connected to Swedish study called Megalith, molecular guided anti-cancer drug off-label trial, where 2 sites, Uppsala and Gothenburg, have started including patients, and we want to develop this into a national concept for precision therapy or precision. This is particularly in cancer, in metastatic cancer, but as a concept on a national level. We have also focused on children with cancer, and since last year, we are performing whole genome sequencing and whole transcriptome sequencing, and we are scaling up right now. And there are 4 sites that do the whole genome sequencing and whole transcriptome sequencing. And finally, we have just earlier this year published our 10-year plan, how we want to proceed. Of course, we want to be able to offer all citizens equal access in our focus areas, and doing broad gene panels or whole genome sequencing. We think it's important with the National Genome Platform and the knowledge database, also in order to be able to connect to other regional and European initiatives. We think that it's important also to be able to share this data for further research and innovation. We want to spur both academic and industry-sponsored trials, and precision health is of course one of the focus areas for the future for us, with primary prevention and early detection. So we are also moving into that area for the common traits, the complex diseases, and also, for instance, in cancer with liquid biopsies. So you can find our strategy plan for the next 10 years online. It's also in English, and a short description of GMS. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Richard, for this really interesting example of cooperation also on the different levels, because it's really a difficulty in Europe. So, so Richard is also leaving after his presentation. So if you have some questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat or to raise your hand. So we have a first question. How does the Genomic Medicine Sweden link with the 1 million genome project? Yes, so we are, we are part of the national mirror group within the 1 million genome project, and so we are very positive to the 1 million genome project, and are eager to contribute to that also. We think smaller countries like Sweden, we have to collaborate on a European level to realize precision medicine. And we are also forming more, we are developing partnership with different both national and regional initiatives, such as the Centers for Personalised Medicine in Baden-Württemberg in Germany. We have strong links to, and also with the French Genomic Medicine Initiative and the Genomics England and the Danish Genome Center, to mention a few of them. So I think it's very important both to collaborate with regional initiatives and national initiatives. Yeah, Kathleen, you have a question.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for a very interesting presentation. So an issue that comes up very often here is a privacy issue. So how does the people, the public at large, think of having their whole genome in a database and being accessible for secondary research? And how do you report with them? How is this addressed? Because we do have this discussion here that is ongoing all the time, that to ensure privacy. Thank you.
So this is a very relevant, and since a few years we have 3 lawyers connected to GMS that helps us with this, and we take of course a stepwise approach. We have defined larger research projects for rare diseases, hematology and cancer, and for that we have submitted applications, and we have got national approvals, ethical approvals for data sharing. So within our national genomic platform, we will start by sharing these data where we have informed consent in dedicated research projects, which is of course more or less what I showed you with broad gene panels and whole genome sequencing. In Sweden, it is, I think I just had it on a slide, that it is not clearly defined regarding secondary use of healthcare data. And this is something that we are now discussing with the government, because we are, according to the patient data law, we can share data between regions in research projects, but not if it's clean healthcare data, so to say. So this is something we are discussing with them, but meanwhile we are solving this by using ethical approvals.
Mm-hmm. I had a question. What would be your tips for other regions if they want to implement such a genomic project?
So I mean, as I was trying to convince you, this was really a sort of a bottom up. It came from the larger healthcare regions that we understand that we need to collaborate. And in the end, precision health or precision medicine needs to be, I mean, close to the patients, and that's why we start with the major university hospitals in Sweden. But of course, that is not enough. We have to connect the other regions so they can take part of this development. So I think that it is also important to that we have regional precision medicine hubs, so to say, because here there are also different strengths in different regions and different profiles. There are other ongoing projects, and this we need to take advantage of when we are developing this. So not all centers need to do exactly the same thing. They also can brand their own I mean, profile areas.
Yeah. So, and how do you manage the challenges of the remote and sparsely populated regions? Because I suppose you have some urban areas and the really remote areas. And how do you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, we have our major funding is from the Swedish Innovation Agency and the government, and of course for them it's extremely important that we provide equal access for all citizens. So we try to sort of have this perspective all the time. And since myself, I come from a remotely densely populated region. For me, this is a very important issue that all regions should have access to this. But of course, it is challenging because in the remote areas, of course, the funding situation can be different compared to a region like Stockholm that can receive more funding. So we have to even this out strategically, but yeah, I'm positive so far that we will manage it.
Yeah. And we have a question of a person raising her hand. Ms. Siraki, what's your question? We don't hear you. She's maybe not there. So I will just then go further. Yes. How do you envision then the future of personalized medicine? You have a strategy on a longer term, I guess. So
yes. So I mean, our strategy is centered around 7 strategic areas or key areas to solve, and one of them is of course patient empowerment and also to engage the citizens. You were asking before what is the attitude, and so far in Sweden we are lucky that the citizens have very high trust in research and the state in Sweden. So but of course we have to be careful and we have to educate them in this, and we have to educate that data sharing is very important. Also, I think that we in our sort of mission statement we discussed this with equal care, also that we have to be able to provide therapy, precision therapy, also equally over the country, and to design smart clinical trials, collaboration with industry, and also of course with the different specialty involved in precision medicine, and then of course precision health, the broader with prevention, will be important, very important for the healthcare system in the future.
Yeah, and I have a last question because time flies.
Yes.
So I wanted also to know the translation to the industry and the market. How do you work on it?
So for our steering board, it's extremely important that it is all stakeholders are on board, including, I mean, the industry. So we have a specific unit for innovation and company collaboration, which has connects the innovation offices around in Sweden, but also have a reference group of companies that are particularly interested in precision health, precision medicine, and so far I think we have had contacts with more than 100 companies. So we are forming a contract between the 4 branch organizations, pharma and biotech and IT, how we should collaborate on a higher level. But then we have actual, I mean, we are sort of discussing one by one with the different partnerships. So I think this is extremely important. I think that the industry, I think it's a little bit difficult because most of them want to be involved in precision medicine, so they are quite biased. So that's why we are discussing with the overarching branch organizations to help us with the strategies. And then we, of course, have separate discussions with individual companies.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. It was really interesting. So